"Mom, I had a fight with Benjamin. I'm going to his place so we can sort this out." Those were the last words 21-year-old Instagram influencer Augusta Osedian spoke to her mother on July 11, 2023. What her mother didn't know was that her daughter was walking straight into a nightmare that would end her life in the most brutal way possible. 4 days later, when police forced open the door to Benjamin's apartment in Lagos, Nigeria, they found Augusta's body in a pool of blood. But what they discovered next would shock even the most experienced detectives. Her private parts had been completely removed. The man she trusted, the man she loved for 3 years, had not only taken her life but mutilated her body in ways that suggested something far beyond a simple argument gone wrong. Benjamin, best known online as Killaboy, would confess to the murder on social media before disappearing without a trace. But this confession would reveal details so disturbing that it would spark an international manhunt across 3 countries. What really happened in that apartment? Why did Benjamin mutilate Augusta's body? And how did a simple argument turn into one of Nigeria's most shocking murder cases? Stay with me as we uncover the truth behind Augusta's final hours and the twisted mind of her killer. Welcome to our channel. Right now, there are thousands of young women like Augusta who are in relationships with men they trust completely, not knowing that the person they love could become their killer. If you want to help spread awareness about domestic violence and the justice system failures that allow murderers to walk free, then please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. Your action now could help save another woman who might be in danger and doesn't even know it. Augusta Osedian wasn't just another name in the headlines. She was a bright 21-year-old student at Leeds City University in Ibadan, studying hard to build her future. Friends described her as the kind of person who lit up every room she entered. She was active on social media, sharing her dreams and connecting with people who genuinely cared about her. But Augusta was more than just a pretty face online. She had a heart of gold. When she was just 17 years old, she saved up her own money from working at Nigeria Beauty Hair to throw her mother's very first birthday party. At 49 years old, her mother had never cut a birthday cake until Augusta made it happen. This loving daughter, this ambitious student, this caring young woman would become the center of a case that would expose the dark reality of violence against women in Nigeria. Her story isn't just about one tragic death. It's about a justice system that failed, a killer who thought he could escape, and a mother's fight that would span across continents. Augusta's case would become a symbol of the growing crisis of femicide in Nigeria, where women are killed simply for being women. Her name would trend on social media, not for her achievements, but for the horrific way her life ended. So let me ask you this. Have you ever witnessed domestic violence in your community? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, because this story gets much darker than you can imagine. Augusta Onuabi Osedian was born in 2002 into a world full of possibilities. Her mother, Cordelia Okonye, raised her to be strong, independent, and loving. From a young age, Augusta showed the kind of character that made everyone around her proud. At Leeds City University in Ibadan, Oyo State, Augusta wasn't just getting by. She was excelling as an undergraduate student, working toward a future that seemed bright and full of promise. Her classmates knew her as someone who took her studies seriously but never forgot to have fun along the way. But what made Augusta truly special was her relationship with her mother. While most teenagers are busy with their own lives, Augusta was different. She noticed that her mother had never had a proper birthday celebration. So, at just 17 years old, while working part-time at Nigeria Beauty Hair, Augusta started saving every penny she earned. Her boss, Vicky, would pay her after each shift, and Augusta would carefully put that money aside. She had a plan. She wanted to give her mother something she had never experienced before, a real birthday party with a cake and everything. When the day came, Augusta surprised her mother with a beautiful dress and organized her very first birthday celebration. At 49 years old, Cordelia cut her first birthday cake, thanks to her thoughtful daughter. It was a moment that would stay with both of them forever. On social media, Augusta shared glimpses of her life with her followers. She wasn't trying to be famous or build some huge online presence. She was just a young woman sharing her journey, her dreams, and her love for the people in her life. Her posts showed someone who was genuinely happy and excited about her future. Then there was Benjamin Best Nanyugo, known online as Killaboy. Augusta had been dating him for 3 years by 2023. To the outside world, Benjamin seemed like the perfect boyfriend. He was popular on social media, always posting about his expensive lifestyle and flashy possessions. Benjamin's Instagram account, @killaboygram_, showed a man who appeared to have it all: expensive cars, designer clothes, and a lifestyle that many young people admired. He seemed confident, successful, and charming. Augusta was drawn to this world he presented online. For 3 years, their relationship appeared normal to those around them. They had their ups and downs like any couple, but nothing that seemed dangerous or threatening. Augusta's friends and family saw Benjamin as her boyfriend, nothing more, nothing less. But relationships aren't always what they appear to be on social media. Behind the perfect posts and happy photos, something much darker was building. The man Augusta trusted with her heart was hiding a side of himself that would soon destroy everything she had worked for and dreamed about. Augusta had no idea that her 3-year relationship was about to become her death sentence. For 3 years, Augusta and Benjamin's relationship seemed like a modern love story. They met when Augusta was just 18 and Benjamin was 23. To her, he represented excitement and adventure. He was older, more experienced, and seemed to have his life together in ways that impressed her young heart. Benjamin's online presence was carefully crafted to show success. His Instagram was filled with photos of expensive cars, designer clothes, and luxury items that suggested he was doing well financially. For a university student like Augusta, this lifestyle was attractive. Here was a man who could provide security and excitement at the same time. But social media only shows what people want you to see. Behind the flashy posts and expensive items, Benjamin had a different personality that Augusta was slowly discovering. Friends later said that their relationship had become more complicated over time, with arguments becoming more frequent. The couple would have public disagreements, then make up and post happy photos together. This cycle of fighting and making up became normal for them. Augusta's friends noticed that she sometimes seemed stressed about her relationship, but they thought it was just typical couple problems. Augusta's mother, Cordelia, had met Benjamin several times over the 3 years. She knew he was her daughter's boyfriend, but she didn't see any major red flags that would make her worry about Augusta's safety. Benjamin was polite around family and knew how to present himself well when he needed to. What nobody realized was that Benjamin's online persona was built on lies and exaggeration. The expensive lifestyle he showed off wasn't as real as it appeared. This created pressure in his life that he didn't know how to handle properly. When things went wrong, he looked for someone to blame. By July 2023, their arguments had become more intense. Benjamin was dealing with financial problems that his social media followers didn't know about. The pressure of maintaining his fake lifestyle was getting to him, and Augusta was becoming the target of his frustration. On July 11, 2023, Augusta called her mother with news of another fight with Benjamin, but this time was different. This wasn't just another argument that would blow over in a few days. This fight had escalated to a point where Augusta felt she needed to go to Benjamin's apartment to resolve things face to face. "Mom, I had a quarrel with Benjamin and I'm going to his place so we can sort this out," Augusta told her mother during that final phone call. Her mother tried to help them reconcile, offering to mediate between them, but Augusta was determined to handle it herself. What Augusta didn't know was that Benjamin had reached a breaking point. The man she had loved for 3 years was about to show her a side of himself that would cost her everything. July 11, 2023, started like any other day for Cordelia Okanye. She had no idea that the phone call she was about to receive from her daughter would be their last conversation ever. When Augusta called that afternoon, her voice carried the frustration of someone who had been fighting with the person they loved. Cordelia could hear the stress in her daughter's voice. As a mother, she wanted to help. She offered to get involved, to maybe call Benjamin herself and help them work through whatever was causing problems between them. But Augusta was determined to handle this on her own. Augusta made the decision to drive to Benjamin's apartment in Oral Estate, Aja, Lagos State. She got into her Mercedes-Benz C30 and made the journey to what she thought would be a conversation that would save her relationship. Instead, she was driving toward her death. July 12th came and went with no word from Augusta. Cordelia tried calling her daughter's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. She tried calling Benjamin's number too, but got no response. At first, she wasn't too worried. Young couples fight and sometimes need space to cool down. But July 13th brought the same silence. Augusta's phone was still going to voicemail. Benjamin wasn't answering his phone either. Cordelia started to feel that familiar mother's instinct that something was wrong. By July 14th, Cordelia's worry had turned into real fear. Augusta had never gone this long without contacting her, especially after a fight with Benjamin. She tried reaching out to Augusta's friends, hoping someone had heard from her, but nobody had seen or spoken to Augusta since July 11th. Cordelia's mind started racing with possibilities. Maybe Augusta and Benjamin had gone somewhere together to work things out. Maybe they had decided to take a break from their phones and social media. But deep down, she knew her daughter wouldn't disappear like this without saying something. On July 15th, 4 days after Augusta's last phone call, Cordelia knew she had to take action. She contacted Augusta's roommate, explaining the situation and asking for help. The roommate was also concerned because Augusta hadn't returned to their shared accommodation. Together, Cordelia and Augusta's roommate decided to go to Benjamin's apartment. They needed to see for themselves what was happening. The roommate knew where Benjamin lived and agreed to take Cordelia there. When they arrived at the apartment building in Oral Estate, Aja, Cordelia's heart sank. There, parked outside the building, was Augusta's Mercedes-Benz C30. The car had been sitting there for days, which meant Augusta was still somewhere in the building. They went up to Benjamin's apartment and knocked on the door. No answer. They knocked louder and called out Augusta's name. Still nothing. They tried calling both Augusta and Benjamin's phones while standing right outside the door, but heard no movement inside. The silence from the apartment was terrifying. Augusta's car was there, which meant she should be there too. But why wasn't she answering? Why wasn't Benjamin answering? Cordelia and the roommate went to the estate security office to report the situation. They explained that Augusta had been missing for 4 days, her car was parked outside, but nobody was responding from the apartment. The security guards listened to their concerns, but told them this was a matter for the police. "You need to go to the police station," the security officer told them. "They have the authority to open the door if necessary." Cordelia's hands were shaking as she made her way to the Aja police station. Every mother's worst nightmare was playing out in her mind. She filed a missing person report explaining everything that had happened since July 11th. The divisional police officer listened carefully to Cordelia's story. A young woman missing for 4 days, her car found at her boyfriend's apartment, but no response from either of them. This was clearly a situation that required immediate action. The DPO assembled a team of detectives and prepared to return to Benjamin's apartment with Cordelia. They were going to force open that door and find out what had happened to Augusta Ossetian. None of them were prepared for what they were about to discover. The police team arrived at Benjamin's apartment building with Cordelia and Augusta's roommate. The divisional police officer from Aja Police Station had brought several detectives with him. They all knew this could be a serious situation. Standing outside the locked apartment door, the officers could smell something that made their stomachs turn. It was a smell that experienced police officers recognize immediately, the smell of death. The DPO gave the order to force open the door. As the lock broke and the door swung open, everyone stepped back. The smell hit them like a wall, and what they saw inside would haunt them forever. Augusta's body was lying in a pool of her own blood. But this wasn't just a murder. This was something far worse. Benjamin had not only killed Augusta, but he had mutilated her body in the most horrific way possible. Her private parts had been completely cut off and removed from her body. The police spokesperson Benjamin Huntayan later confirmed the terrible details. The lifeless body of Augusta was discovered with the female genital chopped off in a pool of her own blood. Augusta's body had started to decompose, which told the police she had been dead for several days. This meant she had died shortly after arriving at Benjamin's apartment on July 11th. For 4 days, while her mother was desperately trying to reach her, Augusta had been lying dead in that apartment. The crime scene showed clear signs of a violent struggle. There were marks on Augusta's body that proved she had fought for her life. Furniture was moved around. Blood was splattered in different areas of the room. Augusta had not gone down without a fight. But the most disturbing part was the mutilation. Removing someone's private parts is not something that happens during a normal fight or argument. This suggested something much darker, possibly ritual murder or an act of extreme hatred and control. The detectives immediately secured the crime scene. They put tape around the apartment to make sure no evidence was disturbed. Every detail needed to be photographed and documented for the investigation. Augusta's body was carefully removed from the apartment and taken to the General Hospital mortuary in Yaba for autopsy and preservation. The medical examination would provide more details about exactly how she died and confirm the extent of her injuries. For Cordelia, seeing her daughter's body in that condition was beyond devastating. The young woman who had thrown her first birthday party, who had called just 4 days earlier to say she was going to work things out with her boyfriend, was now gone in the most brutal way imaginable. The police began their investigation immediately, but there was one major problem. Benjamin Best was nowhere to be found. The apartment was empty except for Augusta's body and the note he had left behind. Now I want to ask you something, and I really want you to think about this. What do you think was going through Augusta's mind when she realized Benjamin was going to kill her? What would you have done in that situation? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because this case is about to take an even more shocking turn. Benjamin wasn't just going to disappear quietly. He was about to do something that would shock the entire country. While police were still processing the crime scene and Augusta's family was dealing with the shock of her death, Benjamin Best was about to do something that would leave the entire country speechless. On July 17, 2023, just 2 days after Augusta's body was discovered, Benjamin posted a confession on his Instagram story. But this wasn't just any confession. It was a detailed admission of guilt that he shared with his thousands of followers. "I stabbed Augusta during a heated argument," Benjamin wrote in his now-deleted Instagram post. He went on to express what seemed like remorse, saying, "I want to do the right thing and turn myself in. I will gladly die by paying with my life now." The confession spread like wildfire across Nigerian social media. People couldn't believe that someone would admit to murder on Instagram and then talk about turning themselves in. But Benjamin's words were just lies meant to buy him time. While Nigerians were reading his confession and expecting him to walk into a police station, Benjamin was already executing his escape plan. He had no intention of turning himself in or paying for what he had done to Augusta. Benjamin immediately fled Lagos and then Nigeria entirely. He had been planning this escape even before posting his fake confession. While people thought he was going to surrender, he was actually running as fast and as far as he could. His first stop was Sierra Leone, a West African country where he thought he could hide from Nigerian authorities. But Benjamin knew that just crossing the border wouldn't be enough. He needed a completely new identity if he was going to stay free. In Sierra Leone, Benjamin spent $25,000, 0 cents, to buy a new passport and citizenship. He changed his name from Benjamin Best Naniyera Ugo to Kanu Princeton Samuel. With his new identity, he thought he had outsmarted the Nigerian police and could start a new life. The Nigerian police force officially declared Benjamin wanted in October 2023. His photo was circulated across the country and shared with international law enforcement agencies. The hunt for Augusta's killer had become an international case. But Benjamin wasn't content to just hide in Sierra Leone. He was still posting on social media, showing off his lifestyle and acting like nothing had happened. This arrogance would eventually lead to his downfall. Nigerian authorities worked with Interpol to track Benjamin's movements. They knew he had fled to Sierra Leone and were working with local authorities there to find him. The net was closing in, but Benjamin still thought he was smarter than everyone looking for him. What Benjamin didn't know was that Augusta's family wasn't going to let him disappear. Her brother was conducting his own investigation, determined to find the man who had killed his sister and bring him to justice. The international manhunt was just beginning, and Benjamin's new identity wouldn't protect him for long. While Benjamin thought he was safe in Sierra Leone with his new identity, Augusta's family refused to give up. Her brother took it upon himself to find his sister's killer, no matter how long it would take or how far he would have to go. Augusta's brother began his own investigation, using social media and personal connections to track Benjamin's movements. He knew that someone like Benjamin, who loved showing off online, wouldn't be able to stay completely hidden forever. In an incredible act of courage, Augusta's brother traveled to Sierra Leone, found Benjamin, and had him arrested by local authorities. He then personally escorted Benjamin back to Nigeria and handed him over to the Nigerian police. This was justice in action, a family member doing what the system had failed to do quickly enough. But what happened next would break the hearts of Augusta's family all over again. Despite being in police custody, despite the evidence against him, despite his own confession, Benjamin found a way to escape justice once more. According to reports, Benjamin bribed his way out of police custody and left Nigeria again. The exact amount of money involved in this bribery was never made public, but it was enough to buy his freedom from people who were supposed to ensure justice for Augusta. This escape was a devastating blow to Augusta's family and to everyone who believed in the justice system. Here was a man who had confessed to murder, been caught, brought back to face trial, and still managed to walk free because of corruption. Benjamin's arrogance knew no bounds. After escaping Nigeria for the second time, he was spotted in Qatar, once again flaunting his luxurious lifestyle on social media. Photos and videos showed him living freely, enjoying expensive restaurants and hotels, while Augusta's family continued to grieve and fight for justice. For months, it seemed like Benjamin would never face consequences for his actions. He had successfully escaped 2 countries and was living openly in Qatar, apparently believing he was untouchable. But justice has a way of catching up with people, even when it takes time. In February 2025, Benjamin was finally arrested in Doha, Qatar, through the combined efforts of Nigerian authorities, Interpol, and Qatari police. On April 19, 2025, nearly 2 years after Augusta's murder, Benjamin Best was extradited back to Nigeria. The Nigeria police force, working with the Federal Ministry of Justice, confirmed his return and stated that he would finally face prosecution for Augusta's murder. This extradition was the result of persistent pressure from Augusta's family, public outcry, and international cooperation between law enforcement agencies. Augusta's mother and brother had never stopped fighting for justice, and their efforts had finally paid off. Benjamin's capture and return to Nigeria brought some relief to Augusta's family, but it also highlighted the serious problems in Nigeria's justice system that had allowed him to escape in the first place. Every year, on February 3rd, Cordelia Okonie makes a heartbreaking journey to her daughter's grave. This date marks what would have been Augusta's birthday, and her mother has made a promise that she will never break. "I made a promise to yearly give you flowers on your birthday, and any year you did not see it then, just know that I have joined you. I love you forever," Cordelia wrote on her Instagram page during one of these visits. Each year, Cordelia brings flowers and spends time talking to Auguste as if she were still alive. She shares memories, updates her on what's happening in the world, and reminds her daughter how much she is missed. During Augusta's 23rd birthday visit in 2025, Cordelia wore the same dress that Augusta had bought for her years earlier. You bought the dress on me when you were 17 years and cake, too. The first cake I ever cut at 49 years, she remembered. These annual visits are both beautiful and heartbreaking. They show a mother's love that death cannot destroy, but they also remind everyone of the life that was stolen from Augusta and the future she will never have. Cordelia's grief is a reminder that murder doesn't just take one life, it destroys entire families forever. Augusta's murder isn't just one tragic story, it's part of a much bigger problem. In Nigeria, women are being killed by their partners at an alarming rate. This is called femicide, and it's happening more often than most people realize. Augusta's case showed serious problems with Nigeria's justice system. A confessed killer was able to escape twice, bribe his way out of custody, and live freely for almost 2 years. This sends a dangerous message that violence against women isn't taken seriously. There were warning signs in Augusta's relationship that we can all learn from. When someone becomes controlling, gets angry over small things, or tries to isolate their partner from family and friends, these are red flags that shouldn't be ignored. If you or someone you know is in a dangerous relationship, please reach out for help. Contact local authorities, women's shelters, or domestic violence hotlines. Don't wait for things to get worse. Augusta's story teaches us that love should never hurt. Real love doesn't involve fear, control, or violence. If someone truly loves you, they will never make you afraid for your safety. We must speak up when we see the warning signs and support those who need help to escape dangerous situations. Augusta Osedian was more than just a victim. She was a loving daughter, a dedicated student, and a young woman with dreams for her future. Her life was cut short by someone she trusted, but her story continues to inspire change. Her mother's fight for justice shows us that we must never give up when seeking truth. Augusta's case has opened people's eyes to the reality of violence against women and the need for better protection and justice. Benjamin Best may finally face trial, but the real victory will come when we create a world where no other Augusta has to die because of domestic violence. Before you go, I want to ask you, what changes do you think need to happen to prevent tragedies like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more stories that matter. Augusta's memory deserves to live on through the changes we make and the lives we save. Rest in peace, Augusta Osedian. Your story will not be forgotten.